Okay, so per request of a fan, I'm going to try to do a little more narration on my videos. During my day job, I often need a ladder off that van of mine, and as you can see, I'm not over 6 feet. So what we're going to try to do today is create a 6-foot stool. The stool won't be 6 foot, but when I stand on it, I'll be over 6 foot. There's your leg, aprons, 22 by 10, 8 3/4 if it works. Let's get started, see what we can come up with. So I've already cut out 4 leg blanks. They have got to be cut to the right dimension of 8 inches. If we can get the camera to cooperate here. These are made out of plain old ordinary 2x4s. We're going to cut these at 8 inches apiece. A little trick you can do to make sure that all 4 legs, or anytime you're going to bunch something together, fasten all 4 pieces together with a piece of tape. And believe me, I'm no expert at this. This is all things I've picked up from watching people like me on YouTube. When you start taping stuff together, it holds them. If your tape don't get covered in sawdust. Don't ever put your tape together without messing up the end. It's a pain in the neck getting it apart. So now I can bring these over to the saw, like so, and I can cut them all off even. Scrapola. But now you can see they're dead even. Okay, so the plan calls for a taper at 3 inches. This is called a 1-2-3 block. It's used for layout. What I'm going to do is pick the sides that I want and mark them. Should be 2 interior sides on all 4 legs. I'll set up the taper jig and show you a couple cuts. So I went ahead and marked what needs to be removed on this section here and this here. I've got the blade starting here and the run out will be here, which will create the taper on the top of the piece. Then I'll unhook it, flip it over, and take off the next piece, doing the same operation. Pretty close to that line if you ask me. One leg down. Oop, mistake. So keeping with the 2x4 theme, we'll cut out a couple of stretchers. Now resaw them to half thickness on the table saw. Or somewhere thereabouts. So it dawned on me, resawing that little bitty piece of wood is not a safe operation on a table saw. Don't do that. We'll cut a bigger piece, we'll resaw that in half, then cut it to the narrow dimension. Safety first, y'all. Here's a little tip for you. Again with the tape, you want to make an arch. Start it over on the one side, start pulling it tight, and it'll create an arch on a light piece of wood. So you can do things like this and put your arch on your stretcher. Maybe you can see that it's pretty light. Do one, copy it, do the other one. Nowhere near the line. That's what the sander's for. That's not too bad for a beginner. Twins. Okay, time for everybody's favorite, pocket holes. This video is not sponsored by the pocket hole jig I'm using. If they'd like to sponsor me, they're more than welcome. They do have some pretty good products at a reasonable price, that's for sure. Put these little shims under here to create a reveal. Got some of this yellow goop and put it on here. Soft wood, you want to set that clutch extremely soft. And so on and so on. Okay, so I don't know if any of y'all caught that, but I sure did it just in time. When you're putting these together, you have to do the short legs first. Otherwise, you won't be able to put your drill in with the pocket holes. Boo-boo, but we fixed it. Caught it in time. Whew. Okay, that's enough for afternoon number one. Maybe we'll get some time to do something with it tomorrow. Okay, so this is the second afternoon, and off camera I went ahead and did a few things. You don't need me cutting boards in front of you. You've seen that done before 1,000 times. So what I've done here is I've created a spacer block of sorts. It tells me where I need to start the board. Tells me how much the hangover is on each side. I went ahead and cut all the boards that are going to go on here like so. I cut these little spacers. They'll sit in between just to help me get the spacing right. Once the boards are nailed down, then we'll yank these out and we should be good to go. So let's head here from here. So I decided I didn't want this thing sliding around while I was trying to put put the top on it. So I attach this clamp to that leg and that clamp to that table. Same thing on this side. Clamp to leg, clamp to table. Now it don't move. Let me get some of that yellow goop again. And get started with this. I'm only going to put one nail. Shouldn't call it a nail, it's a pin. One pin in the center of each of these to hold it so that I can put the screws in it. But you can see I'm lining it up here and here, and hopefully everything else cooperates here. Spacer. Leave that sticking out so that I can get my fingers on it to pull it off. The camera wants to give me a little technical difficulty again today. That's alright, we'll overcome. Line that up. Out comes the spacer. So on and so forth till we get all the way across. As you can see, they're spaced pretty good. Spacers have been removed. Now I'm going to drill holes and screw these down. Alright, so as you can see, I didn't put the screws in it. I rethunked my idea. If I drive screws in here, the thickness of this is not thick enough. It will split that if I run that many screws through. So we're going to rely on the yellow goop and the finishing nails, which you can see I used an old school nail set to drive them in. I'm going to continue with the rest of them. And again, this is a paint project, so we're not too concerned about, you know, the beauty of the project in this case. It's going to get some major abuse getting in and out of that van, thrown in the parking lots, thrown in stores. So I'm not too concerned about the prettiness. I want function on this one. Well, here it is. One coat of black paint. Probably going to put in a second one on it, but I think that's good enough for a glamour shot, or a beauty shot, or a pretty shot, or whatever you want to call that shot. Something that's utilitarian, but still not too shabby. Alright guys, that's a wrap. On to the next one.